يا هلا.
واحدة كمان. Razmataz.
How you doing, man?
Alhamdulillah, man. How you doing?
Yeah, good. It's been a month, man.
It's been a month and a hell of a journey.
Start like how are you here? What?
Why am I here? How am I here?
Yeah.
Why are you here? How are you here?
Yeah.
I'm here because you're here.
Hmm.
But also because I need to be here.
Yeah.
And you being here helped me be here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I've been on a journey of self-discovery. A lot has happened this year. And you were there for like a lot of the important moments as well.
Mhm.
When I started in Dubai. And this whole thing just kind of led me here. And we ended up hanging out for a month and making beautiful music
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't planned. We just kind of did it. Top
Yeah.
line intention. I've got some time. Let's hang out.
Did you have any expectations?
Zero. I had no idea what's going to happen. Obviously, when I set that intention initially, I was in a completely different place in life.
Yeah.
And then regardless what was happening in life, I'm like, regardless what happens, I am making this trip. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I want to do this. And obviously musically as well, like throughout this journey, I've discovered myself in music more and more. And again, you were there for that.
Yeah.
You know, it's the expression of what I'm going through music helped me out go through what I was going through.
Yeah.
And I remember I told you I feel like photography is just not enough anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough of a medium for me to express with, to release with, to say, to unlock, to نحل.
Yeah.
To solve with.
Yeah.
And just finding music and finding somebody like you that I click with outside of music, just on a human level. I feel like we're on the same wavelength journey, something.
Yeah.
And the music is just complementary to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's been very interesting because we met in Feb, which was like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
In Abu Dhabi, and we sat to make music, and that was the first time for me as well to kind of explore that side of music. I've always been just on acoustic guitar, singer-songwriter kind of thing, and your stuff was, to me, was very, very, very experimental. And we like, yalla, let's do something together. It was first kind of like, I don't know where to start, but that also gave me like a full blank canvas of, okay, we have a blank canvas, draw on it whatever you want, write music, whatever you want. And this is where Find Me came from.
Just gonna say that.
Yeah.
Find Me came out of the silence.
Yeah.
We sat down, plugged everything in. Like, okay, what do we do now?
Yeah. What are we saying?
What are we saying? We just kind of hung out for a bit, and note by note, sound by sound, it just kind of came out of the silence.
Yeah. That was a beautiful realization for me to explore out of like the moment what it wants to say.
Yeah.
Rather than sit and intention like I want to say this thing, and like I sit and like how do I say it. It was like more like it flowed, it started, and then we brought, okay, like this is where it's going, and then it started clearing up more and more.
And one thing I'm realizing, not just with writing music, with doing anything in general, like creating any piece, the lack of intention of what it's about gives it the freedom to be about exactly the right thing that it needs to be about.
Say that again.
The lack of intention of what your piece is about gives it the room to be exactly what it needs to be about.
Yeah.
So whatever you're actually going through at the time will come out in the purest, most honest form if you don't have a specific intention to it. It'll just, this is what's happening in you right now, this is what you're dealing with, and this is what it sounds like. and creating from that place has been not just magical but like freeing,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
And I'm on like almost exactly the same thing, but like for me the intention is to be present and just let the moment dictate, which is exactly the non-intentionality of like this needs to say that.
Yeah.
Just being in the moment, present. And the journey here has been about discovering this.
Yeah.
And one of the first tracks that we wrote here was Why So Serious, and it was that was kind of like the message that I came with. It's like, why are you trying to make the thing? Just enjoy it. Just like play some music and put things together and see where it goes, and that becomes the experience, and whatever it needs to do, it will do.
And it will say and it will resonate.
Yeah.
And if you remember Why So Serious, that's the one track we started with that non-intention intention.
Yes.
And if you remember when we played this live, this was the track everybody was going like this to. Everybody we're like,
Yeah.
really? did we just do, like, we had no intention behind it, and then everybody was just kind of moving like this. We're like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
You know?
So just for context, we're here for a month. The first week was like doing visits and stuff like that, and then for 3 weeks we just sat in the studio, and actually it was just, my intention was between studio and inspiration. Like we either spending time in the studio making music, or we're out looking for inspiration, whether at places or waterfalls or meditations, whatever it is. Just get inspiration and then come back and take that to the studio.
Yeah, and it's not looking for inspiration. It's just finding inspiration.
Yes.
It's like I didn't have the intention of going out to look for inspiration, but just the conversations and the people in Bali to have these conversations with.
Yeah.
There's something about this land that just puts the right people and the right situations in front of you, not just at the right time, but exactly when you ask the question. You know, as soon as you ask a question, there's an answer that comes to you from a person, from a situation, like almost instantaneously.
Yeah.
So just like, let's say, we made some music today, tomorrow we go out and, struggling with some existential question, you ask the question, somebody comes up and answers you like, oh, wow. And you come back, you're like, all right, let's bring this out. I have something to say now.
Yes, yes. And when we wrote, I think we wrote about like maybe 6-7 pieces, out of which 3 were like solid full, and
Bangers.
then
Bangers, we call them.
Yeah. and then we had a few more from that we worked on back in Dubai, and one that you brought with you. That's kind of like the crown jewel of the album, I'd say. Yeah. It's the, and then one thing led to another, and we put on an event. Yeah,
it was. I can't even remember how the idea came about. You just said we should play this for some people or something like that, right? Like
it started with like that first week when I got in the mindset that we're making music and like started setting up the studio. I needed. It's been on my mind, the whole idea of like be in the moment and just write whatever the moment is saying. Don't come with a pre-existing idea. But I didn't know what this looked like. So that week while you were going around, I sat and I did that track, and someone like asked me like, oh, what are you working on now? So I'm like, yeah, I just made this music. And they're like, oh, so you're gonna perform it? And that was the Sayuri thing. I'm like, and that was like in 2 days, and I just wrote the thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. And that just like broke something, like
broke a barrier.
You're making music and you perform music, like that's what you do. Yeah. So once we started writing and I started seeing like the kind of stuff that we're doing, I'm like, no, this needs to be shared with people, and it feels like just like that voice saying like, do it. You can do it. You can do it. Like this is the first event that we do. This is the first time that we do it here. It's the first time that I perform live, and that kind of like
context.
Context producing, electronic, playing keys. Like I don't play keys in general. It's a new thing. But it just felt right. Like when everything's just flowing, like okay, who am I to stop this flow? And it felt, for me, it's just that from the moment we started, it's felt like going downhill, and like
It's just rolling.
yeah, and like if I try to control it, I will probably crash.
Yeah.
So it's just like okay,
Let it
let's
go.
let it go, let it flow.
Let it go. I think we were both on the same. We both had the same block of calling ourselves musicians. Do you remember that? I struggled to call myself a musician for a really long time, even though like I've been playing music for whatever 20 something years.
Yeah.
Like middle school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm not able to call myself a musician. I don't feel like a musician. I've played in bands before, but covers and stuff like that. And I've written some songs, but they're not like they're nothing like this. So I remember having conversations with everybody, and I struggled to say, as musicians, and somebody caught me there, like, oh, you're getting there. You're starting to call yourself a musician. And it wasn't until the actual show that I was like, oh, okay, I'm now playing music that I made for some people. I should be okay calling myself a musician.
Yeah.
Like that's what that is. You're okay, man. You could say that now. So imposter syndrome is huge, and I didn't realize you were the same too. I only realized that now.
Yeah. And for me, it was like I was a musician. I called myself a musician for some time in my life when I played music, when I played gigs constantly, when I was recording an album. And then after that, when I didn't release anything, I'm like, I can't say I'm a musician. And it came with like that there has to be like a certain something has to be there.
It's like a bar, and there's also, you realize what it means to be. It's the same as calling yourself an artist, by the way. It's I struggled to call myself an artist for a long time too, with photography, because there's a part that, in order to call yourself an artist, I think you need to say something that's inside of you, and that's scary.
Yeah, very vulnerable.
That's really scary. I don't feel like being an artist means shooting commercial work or playing rock covers. I don't feel like that's the art. That's you're technically good at your craft, but the art is something that's very vulnerable. And it's scary to call yourself an artist because that's what that means. Even though I've done that a lot, but I still don't want to be like, that's the thing I'm doing. This is what's inside of me. Look at me. I want to hide. Yeah.
From the 3 tracks we wrote Why So Serious? Why So Serious, Message Received, and Tirara.
Yeah. It's called Tirara now, that's it.
I guess it's stuck now. Tirara was also like just a fun one, and I think we call it Tirara because of the riff. This is what the riffs are.
Oh, there's the other one. That's the first part, and the other one has to go. The second half. Yeah, and that's the one. Like also, like people were really moving to this one. And it got stuck in people's heads. They were humming it after. Wow, cool.
It was insane seeing everyone here like enjoying this atmosphere that we've created. It's new to me. I had a blast, man. Message Received.
Oof.
Message Received was a big one because that's the first track that you came with. Like coming back from Gili, you're like, I have this thing, something, the inspiration. Tell me a little bit.
Yeah. This was a major thing for me, man. So I think a lot of us in this little group of friends that we found ourselves in, we're all looking for God. I think that's the general sentiment in whatever way. And I've been on this journey for a while, and I've been rejecting anything that's Arabic, anything that's Islamic, just because that's what I was taught and what I was born with, and I'm like, there must be something else out there. But the messages that kept coming to me were like, no, look at this, look at Islam, look at the Arabic. There's lessons for you in there as well. Stop rejecting it. And that came to me in a way where I was in meditation, and I heard the sound of something in almost like you can't really tell what it's saying in words. There's no words, but it sounded like the Quran being recited. And that turned into the adhan, which I didn't realize was an actual adhan. I didn't realize there was a mosque in Gili. But I'm like, why is this coming to me? And there was some music playing, so I thought it was integrated into the music. And the message I got in that moment was, hey, look at Islam. It's okay. Stop rejecting it. Drop your ego about it. And I wanted to write a track about that experience, but also give myself and everybody else another message as well, where yes, look at all the different scriptures and religions and teachings from all over the world. Don't reject any of them, but also it's okay to look at it differently as well. So there's a woman singing the adhan, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
You know, it's usually a man in a mosque. And then we also changed a little bit of what it's saying, where yes, this is what I feel, that the message that came to everybody on earth came in their language at their time, in their environment. You know, if it's a hot desert climate versus a wet jungle climate, the messages came from the same source. And that's why I wanted to put in, and that was your idea. And it took me a while to kind of be okay with it, but putting in that line of جاءكم رسول من أنفسكم.
Yeah.
And that's what I've always felt, and I was hesitant to put that in because of the taboo about it.
Yeah.
And it took me a while after you suggested it to be okay with it. And I hope it doesn't offend anybody.
Yeah.
Right? That's not my intention, but that's what I feel, and that's what I believe, that every nation and time and land and climate got their own message in their language from the same source that we all got our messages from.
Yeah. Yeah. And that track really aligned with me, and like with that shape, like, because although I'm Christian, everything that is said in that track is something that I agree with 100%. Allahu Akbar, I believe that God is great.
God is great.
Yeah. La ilaha illallah, there's only one God. I also believe that. Ja'akum rasulun min anfusikum, Prophet came from within you. I 100%.
Yeah. So we're aligned.
Yeah.
It's just the language.
Yeah.
It's just the language and the time, and we all believe the same thing.
And I think when we focus on the differences, you might see that they're so far apart. But when you start talking about the similarities, you find that like about 50%, like a big chunk, we agree on, like the most foundational things we agree on. I suspected that this track might cause a little bit of controversy, but it felt like the right thing
to do. Yeah, it's the right thing to say.
Yeah.
That's what it feels.
Yeah.
And even if it causes some controversy, at least we can talk about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
At least it'll open up the door for whoever is disagreeing with it to maybe be open to listen.
How's your experience with recording here?
It's been chill. You know? Coming from a music background, and mind you, I've also owned and ran a recording studio in a past life, you know, with the best gear and sound insulation and, you know, like full on, you know, and moving to, okay, we've got this one mic and a room, and you can hear the sounds everywhere, and there's an electric buzz happening, and we like, okay, it's okay, we will lean into this.
Yeah.
Let's create music with the buzz.
Yeah.
And integrate that in, and then it gets resolved later.
Yeah.
For some reason. And let's put in the, we're in Bali, so let's put in the sounds of Bali in the track.
Yeah.
Like let's be intentional about it instead of having to deal with the background noise, quote unquote. No, let's record it and put it in the track because we are here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's such an organic way of doing things. Having when I was recording at my place in Dubai, I also have a very minimal setup now, but also you hear a bit of construction, in the back. And I treat it, I try to record at night or do some sound reduction or whatever. But like here, it's like, no, this is where we are, man.
Yeah.
This is where we are, and you're gonna hear it in the track. We're going to work with it. And this is, I think, what Bali teaches you, not just with music, but just in general. Like you just need to be in it, and play with it. If you try to fight it, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's much too powerful.
It's way too powerful.
When that was one of the first things I told myself when I looked at the space, and I'm like, this is the studio where I'm gonna be making music. I looked at it and like, it's all concrete and glass. Like it's definitely like not the right sound treatment, and I was like,
and the windows don't close, and like there's crickets all around. It's like, what am I gonna do here? Is this a recording studio, dude?
I looked at it and I'm like, I am going to use this, and I want to even use the reverb of that room. Like I want to have microphone far, make my own reverb of that room. If it's getting recorded here, if what I'm trying to capture is the moment that we are making music, then this needs to be the fabric of the room needs to come into it, because I'm not producing a pop track. I'm not producing commercial work that has standards. I'm capturing the moment. So this moment is in this place with this noise outside, with this kind of electricity, with all of this. These are the tools that have been handed to you. What are you going to do with it?
I will play.
I will
dance. Let's go.
There's been two sayings that we've had for this whole trip. Bakharosami, which we'll come back to, but lean into it. And remember why so serious when we started, and I was having issues with the pad, and just like a loop, something happened.
You were so frustrated.
I was about to give up. I'm like, screw it, like
it's not happening today.
It's
not happening today. Let's
do something else.
And we'll come back tomorrow.
And you were like,
no. Like lead into it. Like I remember you had there was a button that you couldn't find that just kept playing. Doom. I'm like, if you can't take it off, I guess we are playing it. Let's play it. Let's play with this thing.
Let's give it a sound and let's build on that from there. And that was the kind of beat that got us into the track, and we ended up removing it in the end and figuring out how to fix the thing. But this is the beat. From the silence, that was the first sound that we were given. This is here you go. This is the start.
This is what you're allowed to do right now.
It's been teaching me a lot about how when I'm given what looks like a problem or a bad thing, that the more my attitude towards it, I'm like, oh no, this is good, it turns out to be good, whether it becomes amazing or it gets fixed to what it should have been in the past. It's the attitude I bring to it that allows it to move, because once it is like accepted and being part of this moment, and I accept it, then it kind of takes me to the next part. And if I stop, I don't get to see it flourish. I don't get to see it bloom afterwards. So it's been teaching me a lot about just how to deal with situations and how to accept things more and more.
Not just in music.
Not just in music.
Like we were talking about this last night, actually. How music, the problems we solve in music are great metaphors for problem solving in life. And it's hard to explain that specific metaphor to somebody that doesn't play music or make music. It's a specific metaphor that like you just need to let it, like whatever's happening in the music, the more you fight with it, you're gonna stop.
Yeah.
The music is gonna stop.
Yeah.
So in order to keep the music going, you need to go with it. You need to just, and again, I remember that moment on stage, right?
Yeah.
Where it happened again, and you were just like, where is this sound
Yeah.
coming from? And it's like, all right, I'm gonna play with your sound that doesn't sound like it's the right sound until you figure it out
Yeah.
together. All
Yeah.
right. And we just went off to this random other thing that didn't sound like it's supposed to be in there, and everyone's like, what's happening? But it sounds okay. Like, but the music doesn't stop.
Yeah.
You just gotta keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was reflecting on this yesterday, and I'm realizing that if in that moment, one, it was about just when bad situations happen, I'm like, but if it's a gift from the same creator, so like me and you, we've established that we have this connection, we have this relationship, we mean well. Sometimes things go wrong, but it's not the intention. I'm not intentionally being shitty to you. It's just, it's like, I'm struggling with it as much as you're struggling with me struggling with it.
Yeah.
And the attitude that you bring to this of like, okay, well, he's the same person. He's not intentionally doing this.
Yeah.
So it's cool. We're both gonna struggle with this for a little bit, and then we're gonna get past it.
Yeah.
And that's also for me with life. You know, it's the same creator. It's the same source that gives me all the amazing things, and the things that I decide and I judge that they are not good. But it's the same hand that gives both. So
beautiful way to think about it. I like that. I want to take that on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bakharosami. Oh man. Oh man. So I guess I just kind of want to tell the story, right? Like the name Bakharosami, I think I don't even know how to start telling the story, but I just remember coming. Was it the first day? It was the first day. It was before we started, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. I was like, okay, you want to start getting to this music thing? Okay, cool. And we just had a day of just like, good stuff, hanging out, blah blah blah. Went out for dinner, came back, and it was like, okay, it's time. Let's settle into this music thing, right? I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just go upstairs, change, and take a leak, and I'll be back in a bit. He's like, طيب, and then you're like, طيب أنا حبخر وأسمي واستناك. I'm like, that's awesome. That's so funny, And then it just became a thing. Every time we are gonna get into something, حنبخر ونسمي, we'll light up some incense, and what would you say sami means?
Sami for me is like pray.
Pray.
Yeah. I put a prayer to open the space to like, please let me enjoy this time, make it time to experience presence, make it time to experience creativity. So, and there is like the incense. We light the incense kind of like to mark that we're
the start of this thing.
Yeah.
The door is opening
for this thing.
And so that became a thing. Okay, Bakharosami. Okay, let's Bakharosami and get started. And then we were telling that story to somebody, and he's like, "Oh, that's a cool band name." Like, and I wasn't even in that conversation.
Yeah.
I was like on the next table, and you guys were there, and I heard Bakharosami, and I heard him say, "Oh, that's a nice band name." I'm like, "Whoa, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Are you down?
Yeah.
Yes? Are you? That's a good name." And we didn't even know that we were gonna do a thing.
Yeah.
It was, we're just here making some music, and the intention was like add to the album I'm already working on.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, hold on a second. This is a whole new thing.
Yeah.
This is not the old thing. This is a whole new thing. There's something going on here that's magical.
Yeah.
Let's make it its own thing and call it Bakharosami.
Bakharosami. I love how that it came so natural, and we were talking about it, and like on how fast answers come. We were talking about it earlier that day or the night before of like, okay, like once we realize that okay, this is its own thing, and we should package it in a certain way. And it happened from like just getting high on music, like just sitting and listening to the tracks over and over again, and be like, oh man, this is so good.
It's so good. Did we just make that?
Yeah,
oh my God.
like, we want to do more of this. And we said like, what would be the name, and we just like made a couple jokes, but nothing was landing
Yeah.
until the night.
The
after.
next night, like
Yeah.
it just like Bali, man. You ask the question, the answer comes instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes.
Me too, man.
I have no idea.
No idea where this is gonna go, but it's rolling,
It's rolling.
and you just gotta keep rolling with it. You know,
Yeah.
don't push anything.
Mm.
Ask the questions, the answers will come. Roll with it, and it'll happen.
Yeah. طيب, that's one aspect of your time here, but like this is something that I would like to be offering for other artists.
Yeah.
If you were to take yourself outside of this equation, just as an artist who came here to create music, to find his voice, to relax, to whatever your intention was.
Yeah.
What was your time like here in the house in Bali around us, and programs that are like things that we did?
Yeah. I'll have to also take myself out of being your friend from before, because that has a huge role to play, you know. But if I was to think about it, if I didn't connect with you this much before I got here, then it still is an awesome experience. You know, taking a step back, you know, we landed here, everything was kind of like taken care of, you know, taxi, whatever, blah, blah, come here, land, everything's cool. And the first thing you did for us was take us to connect with the land. And that's something that you experienced yourself, that, hey man, this is a land that if you don't ask its permission to be here and to open doors for you, they will not open. So don't waste your time doing stuff before you go and connect with this land and go ask for the permission. So not just the fact that you took us and organized a thing for us to go and connect with the land and go to the waterfalls, and it's even just the knowledge that this needs to happen before you do anything, just passing on that knowledge. And even if you were like, you got to do this, go and do it yourself, that's even magic by itself. But the fact that you actually went above and beyond and actually organized it for us and went with us to connect with the land first, to open the doors for what's to come and what needs to be done, that's some next level shit, you know. And then everything else from, I mean, it's given that you're going to be producing. That's what somebody's going to be here for.
Yeah.
Studio time, producing, we're here. But everything else around it, where to go, where to eat, what things to do, what things to avoid, how to not be a tourist. You know, like coming, I've been here before. I've been to Bali before, and I was such a tourist. You know, and I think a lot of people, when they come to Bali the first time, that's the experience they have. I was a tourist. But having you here and you being not a tourist and guiding us how to not be tourists and connect with this land and do the things that Ubud has to offer, that's magical. That's, I think, the main thing that somebody would get out from this.
It's beautiful to hear, man. Thank you for your feedback.
Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I loved having you here.
I love being here, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this again next year.
Yeah. Ahlan wa sahlan.
And I can't wait to see what happens after this. I think we're going to hook up in Dubai.
Yeah.
Be in the same spaces for a while and see where that energy with this new package takes us.
Yeah.
Let's see where this goes.
Habibi, all the love.
Razmataz, I love you, man.
I love you too.